LaTondra Lewis. It's a beautiful Sunday morning, June the 28th, 2020. I am so happy, so privileged to be alive during this pandemic. I am so thankful and so grateful for changes that have come. I'm coming to you live from Memphis, Tennessee, from the Binghampton community, one of the smallest, well put together communities in the city of Memphis. I sit before you this morning on the step or the stoops of my mother's former business, Vale's Beauty Shop, 365 Tillman. Vale's Beauty Shop was one of the many institutions here in the Binghampton community. In 1976, I do believe, if my memory serves me correctly, my mother moved up to this location from the far right, from Swank's Beauty Bar, and went into entrepreneurship on her own. This complete block of structure was owned by Mr. and Mrs. Walter Bulls, who were also residents of the Binghampton community. Mr. Bull, being an architect and a builder, constructed this building for this community to help black-owned business owners have a piece of the American dream by giving them an opportunity to lease spaces for entrepreneurship for their families. My mother's business was called Vale's Beauty Shop. To the right of the business, it was Grant's Cleaners. To the right of Grant's Cleaners, it was Slow Motions Cafe. To the right of Slow Motions, it was a pool room that I cannot remember the name of. And right around the curve or the bend was Curved In Barbershop that was owned by Mrs. Henderson. I'm so thankful again for being out here, and my mother paved the way. This community paved the way. 365 Tillman was the place in which I saw all types of diversity, socio-economic progress, all types of people, individuals, and things to come through this thoroughfare, Tillman Street. I am a product of Binghampton. I was born at 3008 Crystal Street, Apartment B, and in 1974, my parents decided to still remain in the community through their business, but they moved further over one community over to the Cherokee community. And I am so thankful to still have my roots and my connections still on Tillman Street with First Pleasant Hill, 290 Tillman Street. At the time, it was under the direction or the pastor or the leadership of the late Reverend U.L. Allen. Again, thank you for tuning in or for watching me this morning as I journey back to my roots in the Binghampton community. Come stand with me in your own space and journey with me as I share with you some of the golden nuggets or the hidden treasures of this community. This community may have been to some classified as the ghetto, but for me this was a diamond in the rough. This community for me meant everything. It meant the world to me to have a sense of community, to have a sense of ownership, to have a sense of purpose. As we stand at this intersection at Hale and Johnson, to the far right over here was a place that I dearly, dearly hung out at. It was once called Allen's Cream Cone, which was once owned by my late pastor, the Reverend U.L. Allen, and his late wife, Mrs. Odessa Allen. In this little blue building, which was once painted with ice cream cones, snow cones, and pronto puffs, and hamburgers and fries, you could come and get those tasty treats for a little of nothing. Right across the street where you see we accept EBT, no loitering, no soliciting, was owned by Mr. John Taylor and his family. It was a family business, a business where one man and his wife employed his children to work and to understand what entrepreneurship was all about. They had fresh cold cuts, fresh hamburgers, fresh meat, fresh produce, and you did not have to leave your community to go to the grocery store unless you really wanted to. John Taylor. Further down in the little cut, there was a sundry called Big O. Back in the day, in the 70s and the 80s, is where all of the young children went, or the teenagers, to play at the arcade. And we played whatever games that we wanted to play. And next to that building was also owned by ran by Mr. T, which was a laundromat, a washerette, and he provided services for people that lived in this community, that lived in apartment complexes. They were able to come and not walk far from home to do their laundry, and that place was ran by none other than the late Mr. T. Right across the late Arvella Vassar moved to Memphis, Tennessee. And that was a Terminex, or a pest control business owned by the late Mr. O.Z. Evers. This was one of Binghampton's jewels as well. In 1961, my mother, the late Arvella Vassar, moved to Memphis, Tennessee. And when she came to Memphis, Tennessee, this community, Binghampton, is where she landed. After she moved here, she shortly pursued a cosmetology license from Allura Beauty School on Vance Avenue. After completing beauty school, my mother came back to her community, in which she loved so much, and joined the team of Swank's Beauty Bar, which was owned by her church members, Mr. and Mrs. Nolan and Dorothy Turner. My mother worked in this building about 5 years or more, and this is the building that I was born in, literally. My mother went into labor pains right here in this building, and the story I was told is that she was picked up by a church member and driven to St. Joseph's Hospital downtown. Come along, go with me. The beauty shop was joined by the barber shop, which was owned by Mrs. Henderson. Mrs. Henderson is no longer with us anymore, but she was the first female barber entrepreneur in this community. And in her barber shop, she had two stylists, Mr. John Gaston and Mr. Bailey. Both of those gentlemen are deceased at this time, but the barbershop kept running. And she also had a female barber who worked in the shop. Her name was Miss Shirley. This corner right here was just a mecca of stream of income and employment for everyone in the Binghampton community. As you can look at the layout of the street now, the street used to be just 2 lanes, one going and one coming. But now, with the changes that have occurred with city's monies, government monies, things have changed. If you look up the hill, you would see that the community center is to your right, but the community center once was all houses, and this little patch of grass to the right of us was a cleaners, and up the hill, going up the hill, was all apartment complexes. So since the early 70s to the early 80s, this community up until 2020 has evolved. So Hale, Yale, Johnson, Tillman. This is where my story began. Last but not least of my journey back to Binghampton, I want to just talk about how the community has changed over the years. When I was growing up as a child, as early as I can remember, from 5 years old, this community was very much a well-knit, a very friendly, family-oriented community. And the community was also well kept. But as you can see, the dilapidation and everything that has happened over the course of the years through poverty, through unemployment, through a lack of responsibility as citizens, our community has dwindled to this. But at one point in time, it was a place where people could come again and shop and put their dollars back in the community. The first building to my left was owned by Reverend and Mrs. Scipio, which was a corner store, and they were here during the early 70s to the mid 80s. And then it was owned by Mr. James, and then of course after that, you know who came in and took over our businesses. Next to that was another club cafe that was called Jerry Pam's, and it was owned by none other than Jerry Pam himself, which was another place for people to go, a lounge to snap their fingers and tap their toes. To the left of the lounge was another place for children to go, a sundry, and the sundry was called Mom's. Mom's sold the same thing as the Allen's, burgers, fries, and she also had an arcade machines and various arcade games. So the very last building to your left was a washerette. Not sure what the name of the washerette was, but it was ran by the late Mrs. Annie Bell Williams. Miss Annie Bell lived in the house right there to the right, to your far right, that brick house right there to the far right, and she was a member of my church, First Pleasant Hill, 290 Tillman Street. Well, I used to leave out of these doors, and I would take all of the ladies that worked in the shop towels up to Miss Annie Bell's. That was my job, and I would wash and fold the shop towels and bring them back in for the ladies in the shop. So Miss Annie Bell was a person that taught me many of the things while I was in the laundromat. Not only did she teach me about the facts of life, not only did she talk to me about Jesus Christ, but she also taught me the importance of folding, fluffing, and storing clothes properly in a basket. I will never forget Mrs. Annie Bell. She used to sing a song called "This Little Light of Mine, I'm Gonna Let It Shine." And she used to sing it every first Sunday morning for devotion. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Binghampton, this is the community that made me, and it allowed me to let my little light shine. None of this was right here. None of this. This is all new. I keep thinking they can go that way. So, yep. Well, I don't want you to get hit. Woo! Bring back memories. Not that I haven't been out here, but just the idea of videoing someplace where you lived, and actually 51 years ago. 51 years ago. Watch this movie on top. She probably at church. Okay. Now, so we're gonna get. Crystal is the street I actually was born on when your mama was talking about Binghampton. So this is the street she was talking about. Welcome again. We're on this last phase of this journey. Well, we got one more phase to go, but I'm standing out here on this Sunday morning, just again giving God thanks and giving Him praise for being alive in 2020. In 1969, this is the year in which I was born, and the date to be exact was May 17th, 1969, Memphis, Tennessee, St. Joseph's Hospital, which is now controlled by all of St. Jude. There is no more St. Joseph. This is the place, this is the street in which life for me began. If you look across the street to the right, over here were all apartments. From Tillman all the way to Baltic were nothing but two-bedroom apartments, two-bedroom, one-bath apartments. And my apartment happened to be 3008 Crystal Street, apartment B. So this is where I got the view of the community. All of this across the street, Leicester Community Center, were nothing but homes, houses, from Hale all the way to Mimosa were houses, and the residents that lived in those homes were very instrumental in my upbringing as well. As you can see, over time, of course, this street again used to be 2 lanes, and in the last year or so, city monies have tried to come in, or they've come in to make the neighborhood look more appealing and beautiful, and put bike lanes, so forth and so on. But I remember a time when it was just a 2-lane street, and there was no community center, I should say. There was no basketball court. There was only the park and residents. Along this strip were residents, were families, single dwelling homes, and those families that were very instrumental that lived across this street were the Northfleet family, the Lee family, the Wright family. Those individuals were members of my home church, which was once on a hill, First Pleasant Hill, 290 Tillman Street. At that time it was called just Pleasant Hill Baptist Church, and the church was up on a hill, and the people would step down onto the lower part of Tillman, and the families that I just mentioned, if we had evening services, we would just walk across the street to their homes until worship was over. At the very end of the street, which was Tillman at McAdoo, was one of our other gas stations, which was known as Finney's gas station. And Mr. Finney was also a very instrumental person in the Binghampton community. He and his wife were very instrumental financially at the First Pleasant Hill Church. This particular structure right here, which is now called King 2 Drive-In, used to be owned by Mr. Joe and Eddie Franklin, and Mr. Joe and Mr. Eddie are no longer with us. Mr. Eddie Franklin has just recently passed away in the last month or so, and he and his uncle ran this place. It was actually a full service gas station and mechanic shop, and the children in church would at times leave church. We would come over and get 9-laters, Red Hots, Alexander the Great, lemon heads, chews, and water, Coke, Sprite, whatever you would like. Remember, I'm speaking around the years of 1975 and 1976. So again, this was a very instrumental place for me. Now the Sarah Station again is, or the store again, is owned by Indians, Native Indians, not Native Americans, but Indian American people. I won't talk too much about that. That's just my little side. But hey, Maurice! Hey. That's my friend Maurice. Maurice is a friend of mine. Maurice! Are you in a hurry? This is not a Binghampton native. He is a native of Maurice, where are you from? Cleveland, Ohio? Columbus, Ohio. Stay your 6 feet because I left my mask.
Okay, yes ma'am.
You get yours on, you can come a little closer. Maurice, since we've been talking about my home church, came to the South. And after about being here for maybe 15, 20 years, He married a friend of mine who happens to be a fellow co-laborer of mine in the gospel. Her name is Melissa Harris McCall, and Melissa and I share ministry together here at the First Pleasant Hill Church. So I'm telling you, everything that has happened to me in life happened right here on this street, Tillman Avenue, starting with 3008 Crystal Street, moving to 365 Tillman, and then coming to 290 Tillman, the First Pleasant Hill Church. Now, I don't know where Maurice's wife is, but Maurice will do right now. But Maurice has been a very loyal, faithful friend to me, being that I am still a single woman. And he has just stepped in to be a great friend, a great husband, and a great father to my friend Melissa, who I share ministry with at the First Pleasant Hill. Hey. You on my video, come on. That's all right. We're gonna keep our distance. Okay, everybody. I kind of played over here as a little girl when I was growing up. Once the community center got up and they laid the foundation for the basketball court. So my recollection goes back to like 4th grade. So the basketball court has been revitalized and all kind of stuff as of late. So you can see the Memphis Grizzlies community court behind me, and my home church is in front of me. So I'm assuming the Grizzlies came and did some stuff, and so so much about that. But this is the institution, or one of the institutions, that I grew up and got my spiritual foundation under the leadership of the Reverend U.L. Allen. U.L. Allen, just a U and an L. And he used to always say, time has been, won't be no more. And it's nice to be nice when you are nice. And obedience is better than sacrifice. This is my friend Veronica Washington. Hello. And Veronica has been very supportive of Take a Pew Holistic Health Lounge. They didn't have a clue that I was coming out here to video today. If they did, I probably would have had a larger audience. But Ron, as we call her, as they call me, Tanya, but y'all know that is not my legal name, has been my childhood friend. We've been friends from birth. Her grandmother was one of the ladies that, her grandmother, her aunt, her grandmother, Georgia Anderson, and her aunt, Mandy Campbell. They were two of the ladies that my mother met when she first came to this city, and when she first joined this old rickety wooden church house that used to sit on the hill. And all those years they kept their relationships, and so they're gone, my mama is gone, but the church is still standing, and this is the next generation of friendships that's still going on. So this is the Binghampton community. This is it for right now. Stay tuned to part 3. Well, we're back again. This is the final leg of my journey back through the community of Binghampton. I want to thank you again. I hope you've enjoyed what you've watched or what you've seen thus far, or what you've heard. As I think about the years in the past, everything that I've gone through in life, everything that I've witnessed, all of the people, the contacts that I've come across, all of the relationships, the networking that I have done over the course of my 51 years, I am so thankful. We started out talking about the beauty shop, the beauty industry in particular. That is where my maternal family roots are and were, and I am so thankful to have been raised in that industry. With that being said, I have just completed a chapter in a book called Becoming a Shero, and I am a part of an anthology group of about 15 women, and the title of my chapter is Entrepreneurship, It's in My DNA. And as I stated before, the hair care industry was the basis or the premise for my family's health, wealth, or assurance of coming out of poverty, out of the cotton fields of Mississippi, out of the fields of sharecropping and Jim Crow, out of the fields of sharecropping, Jim Crow, and the civil rights movement. I am so thankful for my foreparents. I'm so thankful for my actual blood family for paving the way that this generation could see a brighter future for today. Which brings us to this place, Take a Pew Holistic Health Lounge. Take a Pew is essentially a place where you can come to relax, a place to come and lounge, a place to come and learn about the DNA of nutrition, the DNA of health, the DNA of herbs, the DNA of life. Take a Pew is also a staple, or will become a staple in this community, just as Vale's Beauty Shop, 365 Tillman. Come in, we're open Monday through Friday from 11 to 5 and Saturdays from 10 to 4. Take a Pew Holistic Health Lounge is located at 119 Racine Street, Suite 101. We are right off of Tillman, a street over from Tillman, and we are located between Walnut Grove and Poplar Avenue, right behind Amro Music Store. Again, Take a Pew. Live to lounge and lounge to live. This is a place for peace, empowerment, and wellness. Be blessed.